Starfield, oh Starfield. There was a lot riding on this game with it being an Xbox exclusive. With Microsoft acquiring Bethesda in 2020, it was a huge exclusive for Xbox. It was also the long-awaited new IP RPG from Bethesda to go along with their already successful Fallout and Elder Scrolls series. And after playing this game, I do think it is good, but not great. So let's get into why, and just so you guys know, all footage is PC gameplay through PC Game Pass, and just for full disclosure here, I did take advantage of console commands in this game. If you don't know what those are, they are basically cheats that are only accessible on PC versions of the game, which is rather ironic given its name. I use them to get a lot of money, pretty much every perk that pertains to ships, which I'll dig into more why I did that later, and to get a ton of lockpicks, or in this game's case, digipicks. But one more thing before we get into the nitty and gritty of this game, I do want to talk about a man named Alex Hay. Alex was a man who had been diagnosed with lung cancer and was only given a certain amount of time to live. However, there was one shining star, pun intended, in his life at this point in time, and that was Starfield. He was quoted as saying, during those dark times fighting his disease, his Xbox provided some much needed escapism. And since he had an Xbox, he's excited to play the new exclusive Starfield as one last adventure before his passing. However, the game was at one point expected to release in March 2023, but got delayed until September 2023. After the delay announcement, Alex sent out a message to the internet saying that he likely won't make it until September before passing and to enjoy it on his behalf. And unfortunately, not long after posting that message, Alex Hay passed away at the age of 35 or 36. And quite confusingly, I saw a lot of conflicting reports on his real age. To honor his passing, Bethesda included a note you can find in the game that reads, quote, "To all my friends and fellow explorers, I'm always with you, out there in the Starfield. Love always, Alex Hay," end quote. As a lifelong gamer, this story definitely touched me and pulls on my heartstrings a little bit too, so I wanted to pay tribute how I'm able to. Luckily, you are able to name your ships and rename bought ships, so I named my ship Alex of the Stars, so in a way, he was able to fly through space and go on this journey with me through this new universe. Basically, I just think this is a story worth telling, and I want to do what I can to make sure Alex is not forgotten. So Alex, from one gamer to another, I wish you could have experienced this game with all of us, and you will be missed. This video is for you. Now on to the actual game. As always, quick summary. As discussed, Starfield was developed by Bethesda and was released on September 6, 2023 for Xbox and PC. You play as a miner on a planet who comes across a very unusual piece of metal that has a profound effect on you after touching it. Shortly after, you learn not only that there are more of these pieces, but there's a group of people trying to track down and uncover what secrets they behold, and in turn, so do you. So with this game being an RPG developed by Bethesda, it plays very similarly to Fallout and Elder Scrolls games. Very similar conversation mechanics, movement, fighting, etc. So on paper, if you like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, you'll likely enjoy Starfield. And I'd agree with that, but would you like it as much as those games? Ugh, I don't know. There are definitely some good things in this game though. First and foremost, the gunfighting in this game feels way better than any Fallout game. From the very first firefight, the shooting feels very tight, significantly better than Fallout 4, and worlds better than Fallout 3 in New Vegas. The guns carry some good weight and heft, and they feel very satisfying to let bullets or lasers or anything in between fly. I also thought this story was definitely on the better side. Due to this game being pretty new, I do kind of want to stay away from spoilers here, but I did enjoy it and thought it was pretty ballsy. I know it won't be for everyone, but I personally liked it a decent amount and think it is a story worth telling. And lastly, like I said, it plays like a Bethesda RPG, and I like those games quite a bit, so I like the general play of this game. I already mentioned that, so we'll leave it at that. A short list of good, but very important things. And so let's move on to the bit longer list of bad. First and foremost, I heard a lot of great things about the shipbuilding leading up to the release of this game, so I was excited to get into that and build a custom ship. However, I was significantly disappointed with it. In the beginning of the game, you are given a starter ship, but it's truly a pile of shit, which the in-game characters constantly remind you of, which in a way is pretty funny. And I always favored the on-ground stuff over the ship stuff, so I used console commands to let me get the best possible ship so I could try to enjoy that part. However, upon building a ship, I discovered I was not a fan of the shipbuilding. Here's why. First, let me just say that I understand a ship needs to have size limitations. You can't build a mile-long ship, for instance. I get that. But what I don't get is why let me go beyond these limits in the builder just to tell me I can't finalize the ship and actually fly it around. Using the resources I gained from console commands, I built a monstrosity. I will admit it was a quite ridiculous ship. But that was the point. That was what I wanted. I wanted to kind of not have to worry about the ship stuff, because after playing around with it, I just wasn't a fan. So I kind of wanted to breeze through that part so I could get into more of the on-ground stuff that I really liked. However, upon trying to finalize it, I get hit with a bunch of rules I didn't follow and then needed to fix. It was too big, not enough of this, you can only have one of those, etc., etc. If I can only have one kind of part, why let me put two on? All that to say, I was quite disappointed with the shipbuilding and felt a lot more restricted than I thought I would. I didn't think this next point would bother me so much, but actually did kind of annoy me after playing through the game. And that is the ship traveling, for lack of a better term. You get in a ship, loading screen. You take off, loading/cut screen. You get in you travel to another solar system, loading screen. You land, loading screen. It was known the whole traveling process wasn't seamless, and I didn't think it would bother me, but it did. And after dabbling in No Man's Sky, where the whole process is seamless in that game, it was really cool to experience. So to see Bethesda not able to accomplish that in Starfield was a little disappointing, and I feel like a solid chunk of my time playing was just watching loading screens and cutscenes. Along with that, this game does not encourage exploration like other Bethesda games. I felt that I was able to fast travel pretty much everywhere I needed to go, even without visiting the planet beforehand. And by doing this, I didn't feel very inclined to explore like I did in previous games. In Fallout and Elder Scrolls, one of my favorite things to do in those games is chug along on the main story, head to objective on foot, running around because you can't fast travel to places you haven't been to normally, just to get completely sidetracked by a place I see in my minimap and see something cool or discover a new quest or get some cool gear. And by being able to fast travel to any planet and then having the planets be largely empty, Starfield just doesn't encourage the same amount of exploration as Bethesda's other games. A quick point here is the lockpicking. I just like the traditional Bethesda lockpicking mechanic more, and if you played their past games, you know what I'm talking about, where you move a pin and have to find the correct spot to get the lock to turn all the way. Here they swapped it for a multi-layered, find the correct piece of the puzzle type thing, and I didn't really like it. I actually hated it. Hence why I did the console commands to get a large quantity of digipicks. But this is more of a personal opinion than anything, so let's not spend a lot of time on that. Anyone who's played with previous Bethesda RPGs know that they are traditionally a little too buggy. And I just need to mention that there was nothing crazy in this game, nothing game-breaking, except for one instance. Oh my god, I was pissed. I walked into a place after it got attacked, and I had to check on everyone there to make sure they were okay. However, whenever I would approach one specific person, in classic Bethesda fashion, he would float into the ceiling and I couldn't talk to him. So because of that, I couldn't finish the objective of checking on everyone and was dead in my tracks as far as the mission objective goes. So I try reloading a save before that, and I go in and the guy doesn't float into the ceiling. So great. However, a different person I had to check on didn't spawn at all. Again, not allowing me to finish the objective, leaving me dead in my tracks. Frustrated after probably 10 or 12 attempts, that's no exaggeration either. I gave it every chance I could. I give the game one more chance, load up an older save, and get into the building, and everything finally worked the way it should have, and I was able to continue along the main story. But I was very close to calling it and stopping playing there. I actually told myself, loading up the very last chance, that if it didn't work then, I was just going to call it quits there and make my video on the game and say, don't play it, it's a broken mess. But luckily it ended up working out in the end. Lastly, I want to discuss the ending a little bit more. Bethesda RPGs are typically very big games that can be played for hundreds of hours beyond the main story. I focused on the main story for most of my playthrough, but by doing that, I accumulated a good list of side content to disembark on once I finished. And I was looking forward to dabbling in these a little bit after finishing the main quest line. However, after completing the main storyline, due to the nature of how it wraps up, your inventory gets wiped and all your piled up quests get wiped as well. And you basically start from square one. Now, when I was going through the ending process, they definitely hinted at this happening, but they never flat out said it. I feel like with something of this magnitude happening, a message needs to come up on the screen and flat out say what is going to happen. So for that reason, me having other games I gotta play, like Jedi Survivor, which there will be a video on, I'm playing through right now, I just straight up don't have the time to go through it all again. If I ever get the time, I may come back, but I just wish they would have handled the post-story game better. I had fun playing it. Is it the world beater people were expecting? No. In fact, out of all Bethesda RPGs I've played, With that being Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4, and New Vegas, because I do count that one. This is honestly probably the least best. I didn't have a sky-high hopes for this game from the start. I always expected it to be good, not great, but even I am a little disappointed with this. And as someone who is an Xbox/Microsoft fan, it pains me to say that. If you have Game Pass, I definitely would recommend getting into this, but if you were looking to outright buy it, then I would wait until there's a sale, and if you keep expectations in check, I think you will have a good time. Game of the Year, Starfield is not, but that doesn't mean it's not worthy of your attention and time. That's all I got on Starfield. I wish it was better, but I still had fun playing it. I'm glad I was able to go on that adventure. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video and listen to me ramble. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All of us here at Milkman Media would appreciate the support. Drop a little likey poo and hit that thumbs up button. And of course, let's talk about Starfield in the comments and your experience or thought on the game. I'd love to hear what you have to say. As always, all opinions welcome. As always, I will see you in the next video.